I think it's going to be a kind of exploration. It's finding myself again. It should be interesting. I'm looking forward to meeting myself again.
I could see that this wasn't the life for a young child, and this made me try and get myself together. You know, I mean, it was originally my motivating force.
I actually started working in the city in 1984, which was a job that I got through a friend of mine who I'd met through scoring drugs, and he got me the entree into a company. And I was part of a sales team of about 15 people. There were at least about 6 or 7, maybe more. You never quite knew people who were using substances, mainly opiates or cocaine, basically to enhance their performance when they're selling on the telephone. When you pick up the phone and ringing some rich bloke who you've never met before or seen before and try and get him to send you a cheque for 10 or 50,000 quid, it's pretty difficult to do if you feel at all nervous about yourself, about your capability as a salesman. But you have a little smoke of heroin or something before you get on the telephone, and that all pales into insignificance.
Ruppert's addiction forced him to leave his city job. He's now unemployed and looking for work as a photographer's assistant.
I always used amphetamines mainly, and it wasn't until after Robin was born that I found that having a small baby and amphetamines just didn't mix. You just lose all sense of reality on amphetamines, and I found I couldn't cope with a child and run around on speed. So more and more I started using heroin.
Val lives with her daughter Robin on a Peckham Council estate. She's also an addict. Her partner, Robin's father, died of an overdose in 1993.
I'd take Robin along and leave her with somebody with, you know, promise to pay them in heroin later on in the day when I get back, you know. I'd get back and I'd find that she might not be at the place I'd left her, so I'd go on to, they'd say, oh, I've left her such and such person's house, so I'd go on to their house and she wouldn't be there. Oh yeah, she was here, but I've taken her somewhere else. So I might have to sort of go to 3 different three different people's houses before I actually caught up with her. And I realised that this situation just couldn't go on. It just couldn't go on, you know.
A couple of years after I'd started with this company, the guy who got me the entree, the introduction, and got me the job in the first place, died just of an overdose. I felt very sorry at that time, and I thought it had all gone a bit too far. So I went on the methadone program because I knew that I needed to have stability more than anything else.
A prescription for the synthetic opiate methadone is the standard NHS treatment for heroin addicts. The aim is that after stabilising on methadone, addicts gradually reduce their daily dose and finally stop taking it altogether. Val's drug problem became so bad that she began to fear that Robin would be taken into care.
Pub? We never go to the pub, Robin. What are you talking about? Had Robin have been taken from me, I think I would have gone totally to pieces. I would have gone on a complete downward spiral. I could see that this wasn't the life for a young child.
So 18 months ago, Val also made the switch from heroin to methadone.
It did originally. It put some order back in my life. I was able to put my child first for the first time in her life. Okay, I gave up heroin, but now methadone is my drug, even though I'm not in the same chaotic state. But I'm still addicted. I'm still trapped and tied to it as much as I was ever tied to heroin.
Val and Ruppert have both tried and repeatedly failed to end their dependence on methadone. Ruppert has reduced his script to 10 mils of oral methadone a day, but sometimes he's lured back into the seductive culture of injecting drugs.
top of my 10 mils, I do score occasionally. I mean, it's not heroin, it's not linked to either, it's injectable methadone. I'd say basically to anyone out there who's got a problem with heroin, who's considering going on to the methadone program, to try and find another way, because you're just digging a deeper hole for yourself. Almost all the people I know who have been on a methadone prescription, almost without exception, they're still on one now.
The National Health Service has little left to offer addicts like Val and Ruppert in their struggle to come off methadone. But elsewhere in Europe, a radically different approach to detoxification is giving addicts fresh hope. In Seville, in southern Spain, a controversial psychologist is practicing a new treatment. He puts addicts to sleep, while the period of withdrawal is accelerated by the use of powerful drugs.
This way of detoxifying is the best there is today. That's for me, there is no doubt about that. First, why should somebody be suffering? What for? In no other illness we make people suffer. We avoid suffering in any other illness. Why should we make people suffer detoxifying them? We can make it painless.
The village of Tafina, some 30 miles outside Seville, used to have a serious drug problem, until the local priest asked Dr. Lagarde for help. The village square was once a no-go area for children. It was dominated by drug addicts and pushers. Now Dr. Lagarde has treated all 17 of the village's addicts and become something of a local celebrity.
Ahora la droga, el problema es que pasa muchos dolores, el síndrome de abstenencia, y con el tratamiento de la garda pues no te enteras.
But if Dr. Lagarde's radical approach to addiction has earned him the love and respect of the people of Tafina, it is beginning to cause a stir amongst his medical colleagues. Experts in the field of addiction are divided about the value of Lagarde's work. Professor John Strang heads the Addiction Research Unit at the Maudsley Hospital in London.
It's not an approach without costs. You can't give anaesthetics without running the risk of complications or deaths directly associated with the detox. You've also got this pharmacological assault of suddenly immersing people in high-dose drugs.
Nothing new there. Good. I don't think that we should insist in the late 20th century that people have to go through a procedure which involves a lot of discomfort if we, as doctors, have ways of avoiding that discomfort. It seems a minor scandal that Spanish heroin addicts can have a comfortable and humane detox, which is still denied to the large majority of British heroin addicts or people on methadone programs. God knows we've been trying to arrange it for about a year now with the local authority.
I know that people have said that the only compassionate way in which you can do a detox is under anaesthetic, and I'm sure that makes good television, but it doesn't make good science, or doesn't make good medicine. The fact of the matter is that during a detox, managed with the industry standard of either a methadone detox or one of the agonist drugs to relieve withdrawal symptoms, people are not severely ill. They're not in a state anywhere near requiring an anaesthetic.
Withdrawal from methadone is much worse than a withdrawal from heroin, and that it lasts a lot longer. It's like you're itching on the inside, as if you could put your hand down your throat and inside your body and start scratching, you know, but you can't, and you just can't keep still, and you can't have any relief from sleep because you can't sleep. You're vomiting, get diarrhea, stomach cramps.
As far as Val is concerned, there's no doubt that being asleep for the duration of withdrawal has considerable appeal. And when she and Ruppert were offered the opportunity to travel to Spain to undergo Dr. Lagarde's treatment, They felt the risks associated with an anaesthetic were worth taking for the chance of a drug-free life.
I don't think it rains down there, does it? Doesn't rain in southern Spain. If it does, it stays on the plane.
Well, okay, all right. You can't possibly need full shirts.
Oh, if we're going to be there for a week.
Yeah, but you're going to be in hospital.
Well, you never know what you're going to... In a way, what's happening is I'm going into a hospital and a doctor is going to take me into an operating theatre and remove a tumour. It's the most logical approach to curing a drug addict that has been suggested to me ever.
Oh yeah, I've had that several times.
Shivering.
Yeah.
Can't stop shivering.
That's right, yeah,
No, not
yeah, that's right, yeah, right. The pain starts at the base of your spine and creeps up. It spreads like that, like a tree from your spine. It creeps out to all your nerve endings.
Val, Ruppert and his girlfriend Ruth arrive in Spain the day before the treatment. The patients will have a day to settle in Seville before being admitted to hospital. This is the first time Val has been abroad, and the first time she's ever been separated from Robin.
Well, tomorrow to me is going in there as an addict and coming out not an addict. When all this is over, I'd like for Robin and myself to move right out of London, to go back to the West Country and get a fresh start.
I don't feel nervous about going into the hospital and having a treatment that involves going under an anaesthetic. I'm looking at it with the point of view that these people are professionals and I'm handing myself over to them, and that's quite a nice feeling, really. The only thing about the treatment which doesn't appeal to me, and this is only a small point, is that I've got slight reservations about having colonic irrigation. I know it's the norm over in California, but even still, I'm English and I'm not too keen. With this particular treatment, the fact that you're asleep during the worst part of it is brilliant, and I can't wait to do it. I just want to be at the time when I wake up and I can then start to work on my recovery for real, because I'll have got the poison will have been sucked out. After this, I'm going to stop, barring any disasters, and that's going to help me a lot with work because I don't have to hide anything. The last time I worked was assisting a photographer, and I hope that I can go back to where I was before and assist again and obviously work on my own portfolio.
And this made me try and get myself together, you know. I mean, it was originally my motivating force.
I actually started working in the city in 1984, which was a job that I got through a friend of mine who I'd met through scoring drugs. And he got me the entree into a company. I think it's going to be a kind of exploration. It's finding myself again. It should be interesting. I'm looking forward to meeting myself again.
I could see that this wasn't the life for a young child.
It's pretty difficult to do if you feel at all nervous about yourself, about your capability as a salesman. But you have a little smoke of heroin or something before you get on the telephone, and that all pales into insignificance.
Ruppert's addiction forced him to leave his city job. He's now unemployed, and looking for work as a photographer's assistant.
I've always used amphetamines mainly, and it wasn't until after Robin was born that I found that having a small baby and amphetamines just didn't mix. You just lose all sense of reality on amphetamines, and I found I couldn't cope with a child and run around on speed. So more and more I started using heroin.
Val lives with her daughter Robin on a Peckham Council estate. She's also an addict. Her partner, Robin's father, died of...
And I was part of a sales team of about 15 people. There were at least about 6 or 7, maybe more. You never quite knew people who were using substances, mainly opiates or cocaine, basically to enhance their performance when they're selling on the telephone. When you pick up the phone and ringing some rich bloke who you've never met before or seen before and try and get him to send you a cheque for 10 or 50,000 quid,